Greetings barbers, this is Max from Stag, and today I'm just going to be showing you some interim tricks to keep your clients nice and fresh for main events. So what we're going to be looking at doing today is we don't really need too much of a haircut. It's kind of more just sharpening up for a big event. So if someone's going out for a night out, for a birthday, hot date, Christmas party or something, just ways to keep stuff looking nice and sharp and fresh without taking too much of the length off. So the main points we're going to be looking at is kind of sharpening up around the ears, working through the nape of the neck, making sure to get rid of any extra length that we don't want, any unwanted weight through the top, and maybe even just ever so slightly just going through and just taking the very ends of the length of the top off. I have a little look at the fringe, see how that's kind of falling, and just kind of refine what we've got really. As I said, overall the haircut doesn't really need too much doing to it. It is kind of just refining, sharpening up. So I'm going to start through the back and the sides. We're just going to take a tiny bit of length off. We're going to start with some layering techniques just to get rid of some of this unnecessary bulk that we've got running through here. Maybe work through the nape of the neck, just taking up any length through there as well. And then going through and just softening the top. Because it's an interim trim, I'm probably going to do a majority of it all dry, because obviously it's just someone just popping into the shop just for a little quick trim up. These techniques might be quite good to use on someone that's potentially growing their hair from shorter to long, or someone that's in two minds whether to cut their hair off shorter but just kind of wants a little bit of something doing to it. So we're just going to start through the side. We're not really changing the shape overall too much. Again, refinement is a word I'm going to keep saying because that's all we're generally doing. There's not going to be too much of a big, drastic change. It's just visually working through. Just taking off any older hair. Looking through, checking how the hair naturally falls. Again, you don't want to take anything off that's detrimental, particularly if the client is looking to grow their hair at all. I'm just going to go through here. Just take these ends off. Not cutting blind, continuously cross-checking, making sure there's still visual balance. You can see here there's a little bit of length left over. Probably texturise that just to free up some of the bulk. Check out some of our other videos if you want to go a bit more in depth into some of the techniques that I'm using today. Obviously we can see we've got a little bit of hair over the ears, so I'm going to look to take that up a tiny bit through there, reduce some of the weight through these corners, trim the fringe up a little bit, get that bit shorter, just so it doesn't grow down too heavy. I know from experience, growing my hair from shorter to longer, people get a bit fed up and frustrated with what their hair's doing. You can kind of just feel like you've got like a mass of hair on your head, you can't really do anything with it, you then get frustrated and then choose to lop it all off, going against all the hard work that you've gone through. It's a nice way to talk to your clients about styling as well, giving them alternatives, options. We're just going to go through this perimeter. I'm just going to point cut some of this excess length that we've got that we don't need. Take it back to how it probably was a month or so ago. Keep cross-checking, making sure you've got balance. When cross-checking, always go against the way that you were cutting. Areas like this where we might get a little bit of excess length, trim that down. Refining our shape but leaving the excess length that we want to keep. As you can see, that's now starting to look a little bit neater. Have that push pioneer a little bit more. Maybe take this length up a tiny bit through here. Also work at doing some channel cutting just through where it gets a little bit weightier. Check out some of our Barber basic videos to get a bit more of an in-depth look into these techniques. Still keeping the integrity of the haircut alive, but obviously just freeing up a bit more movement, stopping it getting so heavy. With these techniques, you obviously want to you don't want to be going in and putting any harsh lines, so I'm generally going through and point cutting rather than club cutting anything through. When the hair's dry and you club cut, you can kind of give yourself a bit too much work to be doing. We're just going through, softening, just taking the very ends off. Thinning that out a little bit and just taking the ends off. Getting a little bit more movement again. Hair's becoming a bit freer. Maybe look from behind the ear. Again, another area that can choose to be a bit problematic for some of your clients. Excess hair growing behind the ear. So on the shorter hair, I'm going to go through and use the DS Plus thinner. Again, where some areas it might be a little bit trickier to point cut, but you still want to provide yourself with a little bit more texture and movement. Just going through, very ends, just taking that out. Again, you don't want to be obliterating the shape that you have. Don't want to get too scissor happy. Sometimes the less the better, really. As you can see, we're now starting to get a little bit more, a better shape coming through here. Maintaining all of the length, just kind of keeping it a little bit more in at the neck, a little bit sharper, a bit smarter. This is all sitting in nice and tidy. We sharpened up through the neck, over the ear, obviously around the front to the side band. I'm just going to move on to the fringe now. The front could be a bit more weathered, a bit more worn as it gets styled a little bit too much, potentially with hairdryer or your hands just constantly running through it. So sometimes that can show a bit more damage off. So we're just going to go through. I am literally just trimming any excess older hair. So if you check that side in comparison to that, you can see that's already looking a lot smarter about losing too much of the length. Obviously over here, where it's a little bit more, a little bit drier, a little bit more damaged, just take that off gently. Point cutting through, just to give us a little bit more texture. Obviously because his hair's a bit thicker around the front hairline, I might just ever so slightly just take it in a bit deeper just to give us a little bit more texture. Perfect. So we've covered every angle of the head, got rid of some of the unnecessary length that we didn't want while maintaining some of the length that we did want, taken off some of the dead ends, provided us with a little bit more texture, a bit more movement again, and that should see you through for like another few weeks now. What we'll do is we'll blast that off, double check everything, and then go from there. So just to recap, obviously it's like an interim trim, just to sort of tie someone over between haircuts. Obviously if they've got something important going on, they're just feeling a little bit scruffy. So we've just gone through, taken nothing off really, the length overall through the top, just kind of got rid of some of the excess bulk. I noticed it was very thick running through here on the curve of the head. So I've just gone through, texturised, channel cut and scissor over combs just to refine any of those edges. And then through the very perimeter, just taken off any of the excess length that we didn't want and sharpened it up.
Thank you very much for watching our video. Please don't forget to like or subscribe down there, or if you want to see another video straight away, check out some of these.